Hey everybody, welcome back. Today we are going to be talking about the 4 basics of self-care. As I'm sure most of you who've been around from the beginning have noticed, this channel has changed a bit. It used to be centered primarily around writing, but we are moving forward. We are progressing as a channel, and so we are going to start looking at things outside of writing. And today we are looking at the idea of self-care, and we are going to be looking at the 4 primary ways self-care is best manifested in a person's life. Traditionally, when people think about self-care, they think about like taking a movie night or, morning and nighttime routines and skincare and that kind of stuff. Well, self-care is kind of meant to be more all-encompassing, and in that idea and in looking at the idea that self-care is something you should be doing every day and in probably 80% of the decisions you make, we are going to look at the 4 primary groupings of self-care. And let's take a look at number 1. The first step in good self-care is sleep. Make sure you are getting enough sleep every day. Now, for that average adult, that's going to be 7 to 8 hours, but that varies depending upon your own REM kind of patterns and what your sleep schedule is like. Now, one of the ways that you can determine exactly how many hours your body needs to sleep every night is to take a sleep vacation. A sleep vacation is just as fun as it sounds. Most people actually will not be able to do this, but if you are able to, more power to you, and it will help you learn a little bit more about yourself and how to take care of yourself. The idea behind a sleep vacation is that you take a week of not really having anything that you have to do for the first half of the day, and the first several days you just sleep until your body tells you are done. You pick a time to go to bed the night before. So say your bedtime you've chosen is 10 o'clock. I know that's pretty early for most people, but we'll use it for this example. So say you go to bed at 10 o'clock every night and you sleep until, we'll say 10 o'clock the next day. Now, that seems really extreme, and you're like, well, but that's 12 hours of sleep. That's a lot of sleep. The first several days you do this, you are going to sleep a lot, and it's because your body is trying to catch up on all of the lost sleep that you have. But you will find if you continue to go to sleep at that same time every night, you start to wake up earlier, and eventually, after about a week, you will start to wake up at about the same time naturally every day. So then if you look at the time that you've gone to sleep, say it's 10 o'clock, and you find that you are waking up at about 5 or 6 in the morning, that's about 7 to 8 hours. And you can usually find within 10 to 15 minutes how much sleep your body actually needs. And then you can adapt that into your regular schedule. For me, it's about 7.5 hours. That's my sweet spot. If I can get 7.5 hours, I wake up without feeling groggy, but feeling like I got enough sleep. So step 2 of good self-care is to eat well. And I know that this one is very difficult for a lot of people, especially if you live in the United States like I do. Our society does not make it super easy to eat well, and it is not super cheap to eat well. I have a friend, and her recent mantra on life and in eating well is to do the best that you can where you're at and with what you have. And I think that's a great way to approach eating well. And that way, if you're out with friends and you find yourself at McDonald's, it's not the best place. And if you're really trying to eat healthy, probably not where you should end up. But you're in that moment. What can you do to feed yourself the best in that moment? So the idea behind eating well is to make sure you are getting enough calories every day and that they are in the right nutrition groups that your body needs. Now, again, nutrition looks different for everybody depending upon what your dietary needs are. Diabetics will eat differently than someone who's not diabetic. Someone who is prone to kidney stones, like myself, my diet will look different than someone who's not prone to kidney stones. So make sure you are looking at your own diet and yourself and your caloric needs, and not necessarily just finding a diet on the internet. Try really hard to just make the best choice for yourself that you can in that moment. Another way to supplement a good food habit is to start a food journal. Write down everything you eat. You can be as detailed or as not detailed as you want, and just keep track of it for like a week. And go back and look at your eating habits. Maybe you find that in the afternoon like me, you eat junk food. And it's probably because you eat lunch earlier in the day, but it's not quite dinner time yet. And you find yourself needing that little bit of pickup, and it's just easier to eat junk food. It's easier to reach for the potato chips and the ding dongs than it is for an apple or a banana. So keep a food journal, track your food choices and what you decide, and then you can go out of your way to make it easier for you to make good food choices. The third staple of basic self-care is exercise. And I know that this is not everybody's favorite thing in the world. It's not my favorite thing in the world. In fact, if you are around this channel at all in the future, you will find that I'm going to be doing weekly vlog updates. And one of the primary components in that vlog update is telling you when I have exercised. Because for me, it's about accountability. I hate exercising. I hate it. I don't mind being active. I don't mind walking 2 miles if I'm doing it with somebody and we're going somewhere that I want to go. Being active is not something I'm opposed to. Exercising for the sake of exercising, I am opposed to. I don't know what it is. It's a mindset thing, but I hate it. And so for me, accountability is a big part of that. Another thing that I know I need, and I know helps a lot of other people, is try new things. You know, if you do the same routine for a month, try something else for a month. Try taking a martial arts class, try taking a kickboxing class, try taking an aerobics class. Try doing something that's outside of what you would normally gravitate towards in an exercise routine. But what's most important is that you get up and you move, even if that's just going for a walk in the afternoon around your neighborhood. Being active is one of the best things you can do for your body, and it is one of the best ways to deal with anxiety and stress and depression. Just getting up and moving. It makes your body so much happier, I promise. The fourth part of a really good self-care structure, routine, whatever you want to call it, is stress management. Now, this one is both easy and difficult. Our society has really made a drastic shift towards making sure people have ways to manage stress, people understand how to manage stress. Stress as an idea has become a lot more prevalent in our world and in our community and in our societies. People talk more about being stressed. They talk about mental health. They talk about needing to take those breaks. Whereas even 20 years ago, you didn't hear that so much. So it's easier in that there's more information available on how to manage stress, but it is still it's the most difficult, in my opinion, of the four, because stress management is so dependent on the individual. Something that works for one person may not work for another person. Stress management for you may be running 3 miles. That is not stress management for me. That is stress inducing for me. Stress management for me is taking an evening and watching my favorite TV show or reading a good book. But that might not be stress management for somebody else. For somebody else, it could be that they'll just sit there and think about all the things that they should be doing, and it's actually creating more stress. So stress management is important. It's very important. It is probably, next to exercise, the most important part of self-care. It's very important, but it is very complicated. Stress manifests in different ways. For some people, it's anxiety. For some people, it's depression. For some people, it's working more, just keeping busy. That's how they manage stress. They ignore it. So take the time, try to identify how you perceive and process stress. And in that, try to find those ways that you can reduce stress in your life. Find something that is beneficial to you, meaningful to you, and will increase happiness and wholeness in your life, whatever that is. Whether it's drastic, like I have taken recently and cut some very major things out of your life that were adding stress and not adding any stress relief, or small, like taking the time to read for 20 minutes before you go to bed every night because that's your stress relief. Whatever your stress relief is, find it and implement it in your life. Find a way to find your center and de-stress. All right, that's all I've got for you today. If you would be so kind as to take a moment and sound off below with what your most difficult way to take care of yourself is. I know for me it is exercising, but I want to hear from you. What is the hardest part of self-care for you, and what do you do to overcome that? Or what are things you think you could do to overcome that if you haven't started on your journey yet? And as always, I appreciate every single one of you and your time, and I look forward to seeing you out there. Let's go on an adventure together. Bye.